This empty chair represents the addict who died today, not knowing recovery was possible.
And here we are. So sorry for the delay. As you can see, I have these two hammerheads with me, and I can't even explain what was going on prior to the show not kicking off at 5. But I just want to say thank you, Lou, for your patience and for fixing the mic that they broke as they were arm wrestling and tripped over the table.
I'm not sure it fell on them. I'm not sure they did it.
But anyways, welcome everyone to the Empty Chair for the podcast for the addict who did not make it. As you all know by now, my partner in crime, my hero, my mentor, Phil Leahy, passed away. And I'm continuing with his legacy by doing everything to keep the Empty Chair podcast going. That's okay. He was just going on.
I'm trying to share it.
So anyways, I miss Phil, and I know the whole Merrimack Valley and beyond misses him. All our shows will be dedicated to Phil Leahy from here until my last breath. So I know he's with me in spirit, and I just know he's with me every time that I throw questions at him all the time, and I'm sure he's laughing, but I hope I make him proud. And it's just an honor to keep this going. We just wrapped up August, which was overdose awareness and prevention. And the state of Massachusetts had 2,150 overdoses deaths in 2023. A lot of the local police departments and communities had out flags to honor the individuals whose lives were lost to this disease. And now September is Recovery Month. And I couldn't think of two finer men that I have witnessed their story and just the miracle of these two. And not only did they gain recovery, but they became men. And with that, they gained a wife and children and business owners. And I just think I couldn't, they're an amazing testimony that we can and we do recover. At the beginning of every show, though, I do always like to thank our sponsors. You'll see their banners throughout this evening. These are the organizations that purchased a banner, but by purchasing that banner, their funds that they bought that banner with are being used to send individuals to sober living after they complete treatment. So I just want to give a big shout out to the Circle of Hope, which is a Methuen residential sober home for women in Methuen. And thank you to Saeed Coates for continuing with the mission of the Haven of Hope and just making it a safe place for women to go. Also, I want to always say thank you to Sid Harris. He was a good friend to Phil Leahy. He continues to be a good friend to me. He is the Discover Methuen. He's also my webmaster designer for MVP ASAP. And always a big shout out to Enterprise Bank. Cheryl Parent is the treasurer for our nonprofit, and she goes above and beyond to make sure we are accounted for in every single penny. Alternative Healthcare in Methuen, Mass. A big shout out to them. They are our landlords. That's where our office is at 160 Merrimack Street. And they do anything to help us succeed. Essex County Outreach, which is one of my favorite. I actually help them as well. And I can't thank Officer Danny Sinclair in her vision of creating such an amazing program or initiative for police departments. So, and a big shout out to all my team members on Essex County Outreach, Steve Hill, Steve Perry, Nikki, Ashley, Brooke Armstrong, Faith is our new person, and also Dickie. And I can't think of your last name right now, Dickie, but it'll come to me. Heartfelt Recovery. I don't know if you guys know who they are, but they are up and running. They're amazing. Inspired Vibes, which is Melinda and Crystal. These two women do a lot of holistic healing. They're actually out in Florida right now, and they're checking out salt caves and infrared. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they're going to bring home. Brightview, which is an amazing facility as well. I do have a new rep that I haven't met yet. I think I'll be meeting him on Saturday at the event. And also team sharing. I don't know if you guys know about the team sharing. It's the license plate, the overdose awareness, and the state of Massachusetts. Like you had the New England Patriots on yours when you pulled in. So this is the overdose awareness. It has the purple flag, the purple ribbon, and it says overdose awareness. The state of Mass wants us to sell 750 before they'll print the plate. So they'll be at my event on Saturday taking applications because I know we're almost there. And I couldn't think of a cooler thing to have like that on my license plate. And so
incredible.
Yeah. So
Is it? Yeah. Okay.
What is it?
Cheryl Merrill, I believe, Sean's mother. They're fantastic. All of them.
Perfect.
Incredible people.
Yes. So we have that. I still want to, again, this show is for the addict that didn't make it. And why don't you two tell us a little bit who we dedicated tonight's show to and why did you pick them?
Go ahead, Patrick.
So I dedicated the show tonight to Joe McCabe. That's my wife's first cousin, who I actually got pretty close with. My wife's not in recovery, but Joe was someone that, you know, was definitely trying to get sober and, you know, had periods of recovery. And I got pretty close to him when the family reached out to me, when my wife's family reached out to me to try to help. Unfortunately, I was thinking this on the way up here. I was like, I've been sober a long time, and
we could tell
some people
Maddie,
say,
we question.
Yeah.
That we know.
Some people that I talk to and whatever, I feel like some people say they get used to like people passing away or all that kind of stuff. I haven't.
No.
Like every time I talk about somebody that dies, especially if they're close, I still get emotional and almost break down. So that's probably what's going to happen now.
Okay.
But he was a great kid, and it's coming up on his anniversary too. We were talking about the Cape Symposium. I got the call from my wife when I was at the Cape Symposium.
Wow.
I think, what is it? When I gave you the date 7 years ago, in like 4 days, it's his anniversary. So that was a tough one. That was like a real tough, because I got close to the kid and so it was a tough one, and he was a good kid, and
I'm sure his family appreciates you keeping his name alive because they are gone, but they are not forgotten. And Maddie, I think you picked Jason.
I did.
another good kid.
What made you pick him?
Jason was by far my best friend when I got clean. We were in the Salvation Army together. He was the first person to pick me up and bring me to meetings. He was a mentor to me. That's how crazy the disease is, you know, how somebody so powerful in my recovery, in my life can, you know, lose their battle to the disease. And I just picked Jason because, you know, when I got clean, he was my rock, my everything. We did everything together. We were attached by the hip, my best friend. We got baptized together.
Yeah.
You were there.
Yep.
I've given him several of his medallions. He's given me several of my medallions. And I just thought it was only right because, you know, I love him with all my heart.
I miss him.
And I refuse to think, you know, yes, it's in remembrance, but, you know, he's with me 24/7, 365. I pray to him every night. I, you know, pray to my mother, my grandfather. Jason's in the lineup, and I know he's kind of laughing at me, like, stop doing that. But yeah, Jason, God rest his soul. Love him to death.
Me too. So these people are gone, but they are not forgotten, and I'm sure there are countless others. Again, having the numbers that we have for overdoses, I only have up to July 31st for the Essex County area. And in Essex County, we have had 10 fatal overdoses from July 1st to July 31st, and 52 non-fatal that month. That was a 32% decrease from June, and for non-fatal, but a 25% increase of fatals. And I think that's because the xylazine came out in our Narcan is not reversing it. So there is help. Tonight you're going to hear amazing stories of people overcoming addiction and becoming creative and big time awesome members of society, you know, not just in your recovery, but also in your career. So, Patrick, why don't you tell us a little bit about your experience, strength, and hope first? On the first half of the show, we'll share about that, and then we'll talk about more of our businesses and how we got started and stuff like that. So, everyone, this is Patrick Cronin.
Hi, everybody. So my recovery date is September 23rd, 2005. So I am blessed to have a sober date that is in recovery month. So that's just great. So in a couple of weeks, God willing, it'll be 19 years.
Woohoo!
And as Maddie says, you can tell.
You most definitely can.
Oh, that hair. So, yeah. So, I grew up in a very loving home, but I always say it was a very loving home, but it was a strict Irish Catholic home. So there wasn't like a lot of like, I was given the opportunities very early, like to succeed.
Yeah.
Like they instilled morals and values, but there wasn't like me and my dad were like hugging it out every day. It was like, how's the Red Sox doing? How's the Patriots doing? It's like, we're Irish. Like, this is like what we do. But they gave me every opportunity to succeed in life, private schools, my whole life. A lot of stuff that I feel like I probably didn't deserve. Just with I didn't start with the entitled feel like young because I didn't know any better to have that. But it didn't take me long to have that like entitled feel that like I deserve more for doing less. So, yeah, I played sports in school and grew up in a pretty good family. But I wasn't like highly motivated because obviously I didn't find this out until I got sober, but like I was not okay with who I was. Mm-hmm. And I was putting on this like, false perception of like who I really thought I was. And I just did pretty much whatever it took to fit in with like every different like crowd. I cared what everybody thought. I pretended like I didn't, but I did. I was like riddled with fear. So eventually at some point at least for me, when you're riddled with fear, you're going to experience with some things that might like take you out of yourself. So for me, my story was a little different than like some other people I heard. I started kind of like late and like it fell so like quickly for me too. It wasn't like I used for 20 years. I used for 10 years. It was like probably 6-7 years and I was like beaten. Yep. You know what I mean? And once I got involved in like the opiates and the heroin, it was like even quicker. Yep. You know what I mean? I did my partying in college and ecstasy was really, really big then. And yeah.
It all makes sense.
Yeah. So what I always said, like the crowds of friends that I hung out with, it was always about like fitting in with who and who's doing this wrong. It wasn't like who I wanted to be. And I did that with drugs too. It's like whatever drug was out at that moment that someone would think that I'm like this like special type of person and like, all the false pride I had. That's literally like what I did. I wouldn't even know what the drug was. And I just did it because I was afraid what you would think of me if I didn't do it. Yep. So I just did it. The problem is that I didn't like know that I had that like gene in me that like once I try anything, it doesn't matter if it's substances or food or shopping or it's just I'm obsessed. I started vaping 17 years into smoking.
I got it.
Like I've been off cigarettes for 17 years and I tried a vape as a joke.
Well, he tells me how well he is, and then I push these unwell things on him.
and
I'm what the hell are you doing?
Exactly, yeah. And so I got obsessed, but I threw another one out. I've thrown 3 of them out in the trash in the past 3 weeks. But I had to throw that out there just to show that, like, I know that I'm like it other things can take me in like other avenues.
And leaving them in his car too.
You are such an ass. You really are.
So yeah, it took me some time also like coming from a family like I did and like not really experiencing with drugs and alcohol like at like a young age. I thought this was just going to be like a phase. Yeah. Because like honestly, we were taught in like don't know if we were taught, but it was just kind of the understanding of in our house. And my parents have now since like when they're black belts in Al-Anon and
Nice.
learn to cope, all that kind of stuff. Like, because we as a family kind of judged drug addicts prior to being a drug addict. Like I didn't grow up in that family that like knew much about it. You know, we weren't going out there and maliciously like, but like our thought process, like when something was on TV and I saw it, my mother was like, that's bad stuff. Like,
Right.
That's not tolerated. Drinking's not tolerated. It's weird being from an Irish family where drinking wasn't a big thing, but like drinking was not.
Right.
And I always say like weed to my parents was like heroin. So heroin was like murder.
Yes.
Right? It was like killing. If you do heroin, you killed someone.
Right.
So,
Just to help you understand, when he says Irish, like they're off the boat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like they still haven't broke 40 years later.
Yeah.
They've been here for forever, but they just, still have it.
Mhm.
So, so it was like, it was tough being in that, like when I used to work for Moore back in the day, like that's the kind of stuff we talked about, like breaking the stigma, breaking all this. I didn't know what stigma was when this was going on, but now I know, like, that's the reasons why sometimes people don't get sober or can't get sober. Like I was so afraid of what the neighbors were going to think. My parents, like smoking weed was so bad. Like at some point after I got hooked on oxys and moved to heroin, like a needle, like I mean, I can't even say that around them. Like it's like that stigma. And after eventually they got educated on it, I'm like, it's just great to see that they educate other families. And
Amen.
They didn't stop going to, like, COVID definitely threw a little mix in the meetings and stuff like that. But my parents didn't stop supporting other families when I got sober.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because I was like, who was there for you guys when you walked through the hall? Because my parents went into recovery before I did.
Really?
Like they went in to learn to cope and they went to Al-Anon. They came home and said, get the F out of my house. I said, where did you go? And they were like, Al-Anon. I was like, you're never going there again. I was dope sick in my bed. I was like, where am I supposed to go? I'm a loser. I don't even know where to go. But they sent me packing, and I had, I remember, white Jeep Cherokee that I did not pay for. It wasn't registered. And I slept. For the first time, I slept in a car. And I was like, things are not doing too well right now if I'm sleeping in a car. So after numerous programs and given false efforts at getting sober, I finally did get sober down in Quincy in 2005.
Amen.
And I've been sober since that day, and it's been a roller coaster, as you know. It's been amazing. Like the one thing I always say, especially like working in the field now, is of course, since I've had kids and got married, like, can I get to as many support groups as I want, like that I used to, but I have never, like, I still got a home group. I still I'm still active in my own recovery. And that's I have not lost my enthusiasm for that.
Amen.
I've seen a lot of guys get picked off.
Yeah, that's how people go back out. Yeah, absolutely.
And just in general,
but
more so just, from my experience working in this field, because I've been working in the field long before I opened up my own business. It was like I worked in Spectrum back in the day.
Yeah.
I was working in treatment when I shouldn't be working in treatment. I was like 2 years sober.
We still have that going on.
Yeah. Oh, we do. I was like a behavioral tech when I was like 2 years sober. So I've been doing this a long time, but like it kept me grounded. It kept me around them.
Yeah.
But my sponsor said, that's not your recovery.
Amen.
And sometimes that stuff definitely gets mixed up. But I never thought I'd ever, get married and have kids. And I have a 3 and a 5-year-old, and it's I'm in it. So, but I just, every day I wake up and I just say, when you see like a recovering addict, alcoholic, whatever substance you do, me more so heroin, to like know the depths that I went to, and to like wake up in my own home with my wife and then my 2 kids in the next room. I'm like, this can't be real.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like, that's why sharing our voices and our stories and letting these people know, because some of these people that have passed away and that have gone, who knows if they heard enough recovery in their life? Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. We have to put the work in, and trust me, I was in and out for a good 5 or 6 years.
Yeah. I had a stigma on myself for being an addict and an alcoholic. Like I would leave Massachusetts, go to New Hampshire to go to meetings like an hour away. And my parents were like, why are you going to meetings so far away? I go, I don't want anyone to know I'm an alcoholic. She's like, babe, you're in every fucking newspaper. I think
everybody
knows.
knows. Everybody knows.
And I'm like, oh, all right. So I started going closer to home. But, and I do think that the stigma has ended, well, not ended, but has definitely changed we have come a long way from words that we use, that we were called and stuff like that. And just people are being more and more mindful. So
we weren't doing shows like this.
No. I mean, the shows, the events, the support groups, the drop-in centers, it's come a long way.
It really has, definitely. And like I said, if this stuff was going on when we were active, like we wouldn't be employed. We wouldn't be employable or anything like that. Like I feel bad for anyone that's getting clean and sober with national social media, and here you go, and here's your life. But
sobriety somehow has actually became like the cool thing to do too.
It really is. Yeah, and it's trending right now with the younger group. I was with Haida in Beverly PD yesterday, and it is trending of not drinking.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is a beautiful thing. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your recovery, my friend?
Don't got a lot of that. No, I'm just playing. I do have tons of it. Thank God, God willing. My recovery, I know I've shared my story on this podcast a couple times, but I'll do it. I'll summarize it.
Yeah.
I grew up in a household where I have, my dad's just amazing.
Yes, he is.
My dad. My dad is the most amazing human being on the planet Earth.
We agree.
And my dad always did what he could do to, I always say if it was possible to love the disease out of an addict, he would have definitely loved it out of me a long time ago, right? But I grew up in a household where I was constantly confused and insecure and fearful. And, I watched my mother severely struggle with her mental health and her own substance. And I watched her come and go and, go away and then come home and go away, come home. And then I got to stay with dad. And then we're living here and then we're living there. And it was just really, really confusing for me. Right.
Yeah.
And I really just wanted my mother and my father and me and my sister all together at the same time. It's like I thrived and I craved that and I couldn't, understand. So, I became so obsessed with outside solutions to inside problems. Like I always use things for instant gratification. I remember when I would grow, when I was growing up and I was uncomfortable in my own skin, I'd use Sega or Nintendo. Sega. Or I'm a 90s baby. I talk about the Pogs thing, right?
90s? Is that Britney Spears?
We're not doing it right now. We're not doing it right now. But I'd always use things obsessively and compulsively because I needed to escape my reality, right? I was not okay with what was going on internally with myself and then my surroundings, right? And I did, end up losing my mother to her mental health and her own disease. And that was when I was 14 years old. And it drastically went downhill from that point on. Before then, I was already fearful, insecure, restless, irritable, discontent, all those things that we habitually say around here, but it couldn't be any more true. I was crawling in my own skin before I even put a substance in my body. Trust issues and all that stuff, right? So when my mother left, I developed all kinds of other issues and I found myself acting out. I was super angry. I'd go in and out of McLean's hospital, over medicated, this and that diagnosis, becoming a shell of a person when it was I'm really just a broken boy that, is dealing with such trauma. Right. Then I got out and I started to get involved with all the wrong people, places, and things, patterns and behaviors. It wasn't it was wild for me, right? Because when I got out, it all happened in like a month. I'm like, all right, we're in this, right? And I started hanging out with, the wrong people, doing the wrong things. And I was using all kinds of drugs. And, by 15 years old, by the end of 15 years old, like going into 16 years old, I was already hooked on opioids, right? And, I needed these things to function. Like I was incapable of processing my emotions, right?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know how to process my emotions. I didn't know that processing your emotions was even a thing, right? So I ran for well over a decade. For me, it lasted quite a long time. And I mean, you name it, it happened, right? Jails numerous times, treatment in different states, stealing from my family to get drugs, stealing from my father, like all of the deepest, darkest pits. Like I went there. I needed to not feel by any means necessary. And I burned every bridge. Like I was a true thorough, like through and through, like drug addict. Like it got really, really dark for me really quick. And I was running, right? I was running away from the thing that I needed to stop running from, right? I was running from my mother and I was running away from my reality, right? And I learned, like, when I did get clean and sober, that like a good portion of sobriety is responsibility, right? And I have a responsibility to do certain things to take care of myself, right? So like, I'll never forget it. Like I went to Florida one last time. One of the many times that was my stomping ground when I, went to treatment. And I completed treatment and I did treatment so many different times, right? And I tell people like, hey, dude, if this is your 30th time, like, cool. Like, all you got to do is do it right one time, right? Like I wanted to set my schedule. I wanted to not go to meetings, pick and choose what will work for me. And I'm like, all right, dude, your best thinking got you to Pompano Beach, Florida, and a treatment center, right? Like, all right, you really got to figure it out, right? And then I went through treatment and I like finally submitted to, the spiritual principle of honesty, right? And that's when my life started to improve, right? So I started being honest with my counselor, with, in groups and stuff like that. And then I went home after I completed treatment and I used one last time. And I'll never forget, like, I say this all the time. Once you get some solid recovery, right, it really messes up your get high, right? Yep. Like getting high is never, ever the same once you have a taste of recovery, right? So I came home and I was in the Salvation Army with Jason. I left the Salvation Army, AMA. Jason's like, don't go, you're an idiot.
I tell everyone if they make it to the Salvation Army, they can make it through anything.
Oh, yeah. Well, so it made it, I found $100 in a pair of pants in the warehouse that you have to fold. We would be in there like searching the pants. So I left and I went to get high. And when I got high that one last time, what my drug was supposed to do, which was numb all emotions, allow me to run and suppress everything downward. It didn't do. It was just absolutely miserable. I felt everything. I was just like, I'm high, God willing, I had some people looking out for me and they were like, this kid only used once. Like, can we like stop like this, like crazy pattern that's going to take place with this kid? And, they had to pull some strings and they got me into a sober house.
Awesome.
And I got clean in Lynn, Massachusetts, out of everywhere in the world, right? Out of everywhere. I got clean in Lynn, Massachusetts, and I got clean off the therapeutic value of like, you guys are AA, I'm NA, Narcotics Anonymous, right? And it was because there was a place in Lynn called the No Matter What Club, and they had meetings all day, every day, all the time. And I'd be able to get up and go to the nooner, and I did the 90 and 90, and I shared openly, and I did step work, and I started to see a therapist, and I started to do all of these same things that we tell people to do and have at it. My last use was 4/4/17. So I'm gonna have 8 years of continuous sobriety, which is wild. It took me over a decade to get 2 minutes clean. That's how powerful it is, though.
I know.
Like over a decade to put together 2 real minutes, like no like fake, like 2 real minutes. It took me over a decade. So, and look, I just, I'm not unique at all, dude. I did like some of the same things that Pat spoke about, right? Like I got a home group, I got a service position, I got a sponsor, right? Like I, became of service. I, joined, outreach teams, and did this and did that. And, I just put, an increment of the same hustle I did to get high into my recovery, and my life blew up.
Amen.
And just like you could get addicted to a drug,
Yep.
you could also get addicted to recovery.
Amen. And that's
So,
the truth of it.
I became addicted to that, and my life turned upside down. Like today, just like Pat was saying, like if you told me even 2 years ago that I would have a daughter, 2 daughters,
Yes.
a fiance, and a household that was healthy, and that I would love these 3 individuals more than anything in the world, and be able to provide for them and do the right thing and so on and so forth, like I would look at you like you're insane.
Yeah.
But like all I learned all I gotta do, like we're gonna make mistakes. The only thing I did perfectly is allow my, when you take an addict's pain, you take the opportunity for growth. So when I made mistakes, I've always tried to grow from it. I've been lucky to have Pat, absolutely destroying me verbally when I make mistakes.
Amen.
And pushing me to be a better person. And like my life is incredible. Like I have a 7-year-old daughter, Phelan. I have 9-year-old Aaliyah. I have my, fiance Ariana.
7-month-old, not 7-year-old.
Whatever. 7 months. 7 months.
It's the same.
It's the same thing.
You have 2 beautiful kids. You
And,
do.
it's
You would
crazy.
have got corrected when you got home.
Yes.
Just like they always do.
Mhm.
Good. All right, we're gonna move forward.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's and like, look, it's awesome, right? And it's given me a whole like, it's kind of crazy, like how you're, like my mind, like the way I view things ever since like God put me in this position is like day and night. It's crazy.
Amen.
And here we are today.
Yeah, and we're sharing a lot about recovery. We're going to get ready to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to learn about what you guys did with your recovery and the organizations you built, and the thousands and thousands of people that you are helping on a daily basis. So we'll be right back, and stay tuned.
Haven of Hope is a faith-based 12-step recovery home for women seeking a loving and structured lifestyle to help them persevere over addiction. Our sober living house offers women an opportunity to gain life skills, coping mechanisms, and personal growth so they may return to their home or working field as productive members of society. Haven of Hope's approach is based on fostering a structured, faith-based life with a core component being the 12 steps from the book of Alcoholics Anonymous, for with God, all things are possible. Contact Haven of Hope at havenofhopemethuen.org or call 978-258-3982. That's 978-258-3982, or visit us at 82 Union Street in Methuen.
Hi there. My name's Phil Leahy, and I do the Empty Chair show here. And as much as Fran and I have enjoyed doing this show, our real passion is with where it all began, the Circle of Hope, my support group for the families of addicts. I learned a long time ago that dealing with an active addict is just too difficult. So we invite you to join our group, the Circle of Hope. Give me a call, 978-886-2949, and you'll see our banner on the show anyway. And give me a call, find out what it's all about. You know, if you don't think you're ready to sit into a group, Fran and I always invite people over to the house, and we sit down, have a one-on-one, and we talk about a plan you'll have to set up, how to deal with someone in active addiction, or just give you a chance to vent. So, I mean, if you or someone you know has dealing with someone in active addiction, reach out, give a call, take the first step. I promise you that it won't make it easier, but once you understand what it's all about, you'll be able to deal with it a little bit better. So again, 978-886-2949. Just ask for Phil. I'm always available 24/7. Thanks, and we'll see you on the empty chair. Bye-bye.
So welcome back to the second half of our podcast. And if you are just tuning in, you missed beautiful stories that these two shared about their lives of addiction and how they have recovered and have become useful men of society. And now we're going to hear a little bit about what they've done with their recovery. Like, some people just recover and go to meetings or any type of whatever they use for a resource and just live a plain life. But these two, they picked up the ball and they ran with it, and they created amazing treatment centers for people to come and heal. And they have both helped thousands and thousands of individuals, because if you think about it, when you help an addict, you're dropping a pebble into the water, and the ripple effect goes out. You're helping the family, you're helping the neighbors, you're helping their coworkers. So, like, I love the day, knowing that the day that we get to heaven, we get to see the movies play of how many individuals that crossed our path that we were able to help. So I know your business has been in longer, so why don't you tell me, like, what motivated you to start it, and how long has it been in business? And if someone wants to get your information, how would they hear about it?
So it was funny, before we just went to commercial, I was like thinking that for so long, like, I woke up, and I'm sure you did, every day thinking about how many people we're going to hurt, right? That was like a goal, and that's pretty disturbing, right? Yep. And then we come to a point to think like the total opposite spectrum, that I have to go to see who I can hurt, to like how many people can I help
Amen.
Every single day. And then like for that tradition to keep going for as long as it has been, it's just to show people that, like, you know, we can recover. And that's why I did eventually do Emory.
Yep.
It started 2 years ago in June of 2022. So we just celebrated like a little over 2 years.
Amen. Congratulations.
Thank you. And, you know, prior to me, like years ago, when I got involved with more and eventually took a job, what really kickstarted me into like working in the field was, back then, people were walking over bodies and not caring. Like when I was like 2 years sober, when all the overdoses were happening, I started showing up to like those like vigils, or like, and there was like 2-3 people there, right? Yeah. There was like none of these, and I got mad. I got very upset that people didn't care as much as I thought they should have with where the numbers were going, and not much was getting done. Yep. So that's why I really got involved and just started showing up places. And I saw that it was all families that lost their loved one or are about to lose their loved one, but there's nobody in recovery there to like show them that, like, maybe you can do this, or this is how to help your loved one. Like these families didn't even know what to do. Like, so I just kept showing up. I don't know if I really knew what I was doing that early sober, but it was a voice to say, hey, you know, I'm sober. I'll bring some other people that don't know what they're doing sober. You know, it was just, you know, and then that kind of kickstarted me to work in treatment, and then eventually, you know, opening Emory with my good buddies. And
so what is Emory? Is it a detox? Is it an IOP? Is it a sober house?
So
they don't know what it is.
Yeah, Emory is a lot similar to Matt. We'll talk about, you know, his too. We're a PHP IOP, which is an outpatient facility, Yeah, sorry. I think
Say that
that's it.
again.
Day treatment sounds more professional.
But also, when you say PHP, some listeners don't know what that means.
Yeah, partial
so
hospitalization.
Thank you.
Day treatment, Patrick.
I'm being corrected left and right. I'm getting hit here. I'm getting hit here. I'm failing miserably.
So it's a PHP,
Yeah, we do-
partial hospitalization.
Yeah, and we do.
Do they
evening.
come after detox, or can they come while they're detoxing?
So yeah, so it depends on the criteria. When we
Okay.
get a call to our admissions line, depending on the substance, because sometimes other substances can like grab you a
Yep.
lot quicker.
Yep.
So whatever, when we do an assessment and we pass it on to our medical team and
Yep.
kind of however they feel, but we definitely take people that didn't go to detox. It
Okay.
depends on if they're on the line, if they've been sober 4 or 5 days.
Yep.
And they're not going to probably qualify for a detox. It depends on the situation. So we get a lot of people
Yep.
from detox
Okay.
for sure,
Yep.
or like a CSS.
Okay.
But it's not a
CSS,
requirement.
Maddie.
Did I say that right? I was going to say res.
That's actually correct.
We're not going to say
That's-
res.
But what does
Nope,
it stand
it's
for? 'Cause
CSS.
Clinical stabilization services.
thank you very much.
Yeah, yeah.
My sister's listening. I'm not sure she knows what all these little
Yeah.
letters are.
Yeah.
Out here hitting targets right now.
Yeah.
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 I am
Okay.
proud.
Crushing it.
Um,
So when someone comes into a partial hospitalization,
Yeah.
is there a length of time they stay? Does the insurance dictate that, or does the individual itself dictate what they're doing?
there's a whole entire kind of process with that. There's
Okay.
like, we try to let insurance be like the last on the block to tell us what to do.
Yep.
Hopefully they're not listening. It's clinically determined, you know what I mean?
Correct.
And obviously we want the patient to be involved. We
Yeah.
want the family to be involved if the family was a, good support. Like
Yeah.
unfortunately patients do use with their families. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
because
Yes.
a lot of friends have got high with their parents.
Yep.
So it depends on, the situation, but we want there to be a whole entire team. Like when you come to Emory, you're going to have a whole team as well. You're going to have a case manager. You're going to have a therapist. You're going to have the MP. You're going to have the clinical director. You're going to have this whole entire team that's going to
Nice.
work like your cases,
Awesome.
like for the whole entire wraparound services. So
Do you recommend like sober living for individuals?
yeah, I would say, I don't know, 20 to 30% of our clients, when they call, they're either going to a sober living or they say,
Nice.
they ask us for a recommendation, or the detox knows a recommendation. But we have quite a few people that live in sober livings that come to
Do
our
you see a higher percent of success rates from those that go into sober living versus individuals that return home?
For sure. I
Right.
mean, and I think the attendance, them getting to the facility, and
The accountability
being
of
around
being at
other
home,
people. Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I mean, I got to say though, the people that commute to our facility do pretty well too. The amount of people that have like the alumni program that we've created, that you're going to obviously see at your program like take off very soon. You're probably
Yeah.
already seeing it.
Yeah.
But 2 years open, the amount in Attleboro now, there's like a recovery like network,
Amen.
literally from like Emory people, like from
Amen.
Emory clients.
That's
You know what I
awesome,
mean? Just
Patrick.
staying in the area. A
Yeah.
lot of them aren't from that area.
Right,
And they just said, I'm not going to leave,
right.
Yeah.
which is amazing. And the meetings around like the Providence, Attleboro, like that whole little pocket there, that
Yep.
was missing. There's no treatment centers like in that area.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like that was one of the biggest reasons why we decided Attleboro, because it was like
Awesome.
a pocket that was missing stuff. So when someone starts off in the initial day treatment
Yeah.
program, like they're in groups from 9 to around 3 o'clock. So
Yeah.
it's very intense, and especially if someone's gonna possibly skip over a CSS and they're just gonna be coming right out of detox, like
Yep.
they really should be in that kind of intensive program. There's so much services out there that like over time, all of us advocating and all the people that they like, whether it's taking time off from work, employers not being able to fire you for certain reasons, like you can take that time off from work
Yep.
and still go home to your family
Yep.
and be in our program every single day.
That's
And I think
awesome.
that's like the key piece of like why they do that kind of level of care, is because like, yes, I'm going to be tied up from 9 to 3.
Mhm.
Obviously there's breaks, there's lunch, there's all that kind of stuff. So you're going to have time to be able to catch up with the outside world.
Yep.
You have access to your phones and computers and all that kind of stuff, but you get to go home to your family if you're not in a sober living.
Right.
And even when you're in a sober living, you still can leave and go home and see your family
Right.
if they're allowed to.
Right.
I wasn't really allowed to come
Yeah.
home when I was in treatment. And then we even created a night program
Awesome.
for like the working.
Amen.
Like someone goes through our program, or they coming out of like maybe they just don't want to be too honest with their job, and they're like, you know what, I'm I have to go back to work.
Yep.
But I want to do your, we did tailor it for the working professional.
Awesome.
It happens. Yeah.
It does. So tell us a little bit about Empower, my friend. I know I came to the opening, and it's a beautiful location in Northampton, Massachusetts. And what made you decide to do this, and why did you pick Northampton, Mass?
Well, first off, Empower is something that I believe in, and I kind of, just like Pat, I've been in the industry for quite a long time, so I kind of was able to take bits and pieces of what I know works and what I know doesn't work, and what's client-centered and what's not client-centered, and have the opportunity to instill it into, my personal project. Well, our personal project for the community. So Empower Health Group is, a lot like Patrick's level of care. It's the day treatment level of care.
Do you both do mental health, or is it primary all substance?
I didn't want to hog up all the time from him if I wanted, but we are rolling out mental health in the next 60 days.
Okay.
Oh,
I thought you already had
telling me this now, huh?
You knew we were going for it. You're gonna beat us.
I know you have it because you had separate doors for different entrances.
So we're probably rolling out our mental health in about like 40, 35, 40 days.
Yeah.
So
Less than 60.
mental health primary.
He had to say
So
less than 60.
Yeah, good. All right, good. Fantastic. Okay. Empower Health Group is a day treatment facility. We're located in Northampton, Massachusetts. Those that don't know what Northampton, Massachusetts is, it's Western Massachusetts, right? On the border of Connecticut and Vermont. And the reason why it's in Western Massachusetts is that, I looked at a place that was underserved and overpopulated, that actually needed the resources, that wasn't saturated, and that we could make a true impact on. And the Northampton area has been extremely supportive, as you saw when we had our open house. And look, we just do the drill. We provide the same services that Patrick, provides as well. A lot of the stuff that I do, I learned from my mentorship from Pat. So it's very similar. But for us, it's all about being client-centered, right? And making sure that Joe that comes into the facility is always Joe, not caseload number 32 of the day, right? I've been around a long time, and Empower Health Group is a facility that is safe environment for people to get well, not a warehouse.
Yep.
When you come in with us, like Pat was saying, you come in, you sign in the morning, you get a cup of coffee, you're receiving individual therapy, family therapy if you choose. You have access to the psych nurse practitioner, the medical director, case management. People are like, oh, what's case management, right?
Yep.
I summarize it when
Everything.
Right, everything. The way I summarize case management is like, I'll tell the clients that come in, I'm like, look, their job is to swing at life and the responsibilities that come along with it.
Yep.
So the only thing you have to swing at is your recovery, right? So all that extra stuff, give it to your case management team. So you only have to focus on your recovery. For the most part, almost everybody that works for us is in long-term recovery, and they're very prideful about it. That's why I don't mind sharing it. The only person that's not is our psych nurse practitioner, because that would be crazy. So the person that gives away medications is, actually not in recovery, which is comforting. But it's just something electric, and the culture, it's all about the culture there, right? Like, there's no big I's and little U's. Like, our doors are open all the time. I'm the owner and the CEO. I'm eating lunch with people, doing case management sessions with people. It's all hands on deck, right? And we've already helped, hundreds of people. We've been open for 7 months. And it's it's been super cool to watch, right? And it's just
and it's been super cool to witness for me.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Very proud of you.
I appreciate that. And we're doing the same thing. People are like, oh, well, my program is this. I'm doing the same thing as everybody else. I'm just doing it in Northampton, right? Trying to impact one person, right? We have people that come from all over the place that, you know, are staying in Western Massachusetts because of that AA community or NA community. And I actually had, you know, a cool experience when I was able to hire an alumni. Yeah, so like we have people that come in that like get well and like are now, you know, working at the facility and helping out as, you know, behavioral health technicians and stuff like that. And it's all due to, you know, great guidance. My ownership team is, you know, absolutely incredible. Myself and everybody knows Maddie Powers. So, you know, it's all hands on deck, right? And,
That's
you know,
awesome.
we're really just trying to do the best we can. Put in those extra hours, have those extra conversations. And yeah, it's super awesome. And if you guys want to find us, whatever the case may be, I mean, it's painted all over my Facebook, but you could Google us at.
And we'll put it in this chat, so when that we send it out, the video for you guys, it'll be out so that we can share it everywhere. But also because it is Recovery Month, and you both are your fathers, your husbands, your friends, you're a son, you're an uncle. How do you make time and find time and explain what is your recovery? How do you take care of your own mental health? Because we were speaking of the burnout, and just give some suggestions to people out there, because they might be listening saying overwhelmed, like, wow, how are you doing it? How do you do it?
Not too great right now. I know. I mean, we're sober, so I mean, it's 2 kids and a wife definitely throw
hurdles. Yeah, dude, I learned how to jump quick, dude.
I was going to 7 meetings like a week, even like at 14 years old, because I love it.
Right.
And then, you know, when you own a business, like
and then but like honestly,
you just got to remind yourself, like, the reason why you have any of this stuff in your life is because of that.
Yep.
Because you went to meetings.
Yeah, I mean, you hit it right on the, like, there's one thing that I've been told by this guy, right, is that, like, don't ever get it confused. Like, your work is not your recovery.
That is correct.
And you, like, if you find yourself in a position where you're doing both, pour into your own cup. How do you do that? Is you pour into your recovery, meetings, therapy, whatever the case may be. And I'm a lot, you know, I've never got confused that they're two completely separate ball games, right?
I'm fortunate enough with my wife too that, like, she wants me to go. She knows
and
when I'm a basket case.
She's
not in recovery, but
so,
she lost Joe, and she doesn't want to lose me.
And yours
she
is
knows.
not in recovery.
No,
Ariana's in recovery, but she's also Portuguese, so she'll punch me right in the throat if I'm. I
give you permission, young lady. You ever have an issue, you call me.
But I am lucky that I have that aspect. Like, my wife's not in recovery, but she knows the deal with me. She lost her cousin. She has all my friends are like her friends, so she knows what we need. But, like, you know, I do gotta make sure that, like, when I leave the house with those 2, I love them so much. But they are wild.
Wonder where they came
and
from.
I see my wife's face when I'm going out to a meeting. I feel so bad, but once I close the door, I'm like, peace.
Tell her about the bus, what we had to do to get her on the bus.
Which one?
Sky.
Oh no.
Yeah, we were at the conference. Unfortunately, my daughter was getting on the bus for the first time, and we had to FaceTime Maddie, and Maddie offers her $150 to get on the bus. She doesn't even know what that is, but she got on the bus.
Amen.
No. He's like, hey, Skylar's not getting on the bus. I need you to get on the phone with her right now. All right, bud, hand me the phone.
Right.
Hi, honey. Hey, look, Uncle Maddie's going to give you $150 if you get on the bus, right? She goes, okay, I'll get on the bus. But she goes, well, what about Bray?
Yeah.
And I go,
her brother.
Well, what does Bray want? She goes, $67. I go, so later on the same day, she comes home, FaceTimes, he, like, tells him
she's fine.
To give me the phone. Yeah. And she goes, hey, where's my money?
So that's what I'm walking out of the house feeling. But
but,
like, you know,
your partners are saints.
No, they are.
And you're blessed, both of you.
It's all about your support network, right?
Yep,
I think
agree.
It's safe to say that you have, like, an incredible support network.
Yeah,
I have an incredible support network, and keeping them close.
Yep.
and just doing the best you can, right? Like if you're in long-term recovery, there are going to be periods of time where you can't hit a meeting because life shows up when you get clean.
But you can do Zoom, you can listen to Charlie tapes, you can listen to, there's so much that we can do so that there is no excuses as to why aren't we doing something.
Right.
Yes.
So you have to continuously be, doing something for your wellness, right? Whether it's the gym, whether it's, one meeting, like whatever the case may be, but also keeping the people that will pull your card really close to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's accountability.
Amen.
I that's worked for me.
Amen. Well, I thank you both for traveling out here to share your experience, strength, and hope to our audience. I also want to talk about an event that MVP ASAP is hosting this Saturday. It's for, we're celebrating recovery. We're acknowledging all the individuals that fight this battle every single day. Sometimes you get kicked down, but you brush yourself off and start all over. God willing, you will have that opportunity to do that. So this Saturday, we have Brandon Novak coming to Haverhill High School. He will be speaking from 10 to 11:30 and then doing autographs afterwards. We also have a caveat this at our event, and we have Cracked, kind of a weird name for a restaurant for us, but it's Cracked Restaurant, and they have very healthy food sandwiches and coffee that we'll be offering. This is one of our gold sponsors is the Mayflower. Thank you, Tim Hinault, for participating.
Timmy.
Yes,
Timmy.
In
Great
the
guy when
opportunity.
he's sleeping.
He is the best.
Great kid, local kid.
Great kid, local kid.
Yes. And,
actually, pretty good babysitter.
Really?
No, I wouldn't know.
Tim, they're throwing you under the bus. But anyways, you do need tickets to get in. They are free. The event can be found on Eventbrite. It can also be found on the MVP ASAP Facebook page. And you can just scan the code and get your tickets, because without a ticket, without being on the list, it's almost sold out. And actually, all our vendor spaces filled up. So we weren't able to take a few that started reaching out within the past 24 hours. So I look forward to seeing everyone this Saturday. Thank you, Lou, again, for all that you do for us. I appreciate you. Thank you both for traveling here. And if you're struggling, please reach out. You're not alone. Their information will be found in this podcast as well, in our chat. And as always, if you don't pick up that first drink, you can't get drunk. And if you do need help, please reach out. We want you. We need you. We love you. Good night, everyone, and God bless.